Console hacking has been a thing for a while, and I decided, since I haven't uploaded it in a couple months, I decided to make something I'm passionate about, which is console modding, hacking, whatever you want to call it. So I decided to do a tier list about hacked consoles, right? So let's get on with it, and let's start off with some of the criteria. Now, some of the criteria rules of basically how I'm going to rank these consoles is that 1, how easy are they to hack? 2, what is there to do after you hack it? And 3, literally just 3 is just gonna be my bias, how much I like the console, just in general. So, yeah, let's get on with it.
Now, first of all, we have the Game Boy, and to my knowledge, you can't hack the Game Boy, so we're just going to put it in F tier. And just to keep things simple, we're just going to put every console you can't hack, either because you just can't, or the console is literally ancient. So we're just going to put all those consoles in F tier as well.
Next up, we have the GameCube. Now, there's really 2 ways to hack a GameCube. One is to practically open it up,
And it requires you to have some basic knowledge of soldering, but there is another more easier way, but it requires you to have like an actual disc of this thing called Daedal's Replay, which I went on Amazon, like I clicked the link, and it's just not available, so I don't know, maybe you can get it somewhere else. And also, side note of having this disc is that it does allow you to run homebrew on it, but you do need the disc. It does not hard mod your console, it just soft mod it, and it's completely reversible too. So yeah, you just need to have the disc at all times if you want to run your homebrew. Okay, so I discovered there is a third exploit, and it requires you to have a modded Wii, and to that, I'm just like, if you already have a modded Wii, that Wii can already play GameCube games. So unless you want the nostalgic feel of, having a GameCube, there's really no reason to have a GameCube if you already have a modded Wii. So it gets a C tier from me. Now for our next console, we have the PS2. Now for the PS2, to my knowledge, you need like one of the PS2 network adapters and also a hard drive. You can use an SD card, but you need some adapters for it can work on the PS2. But once you get all that settled, it is really cool to have a hacked PS2 because obviously, pirated games and all that. But it's also because guess what? They have Linux on it. You can use 2 different versions of Linux. And I know it's really dumb and it's kind of useless, but still, Linux on the PS2, really, really cool. And also, some UI changes you can make. You can have the Japanese UI on your PS2 if you want. But even though having a hacked PS2 is really cool, you're still going to need like a PS2 network adapter and also the hard drive. And, if you're going to use an SD card, you're going to need some, converters or whatever. So if you're someone who does want a hacked console but doesn't want to go out of their way to buy, other things for it, because, you're probably kind of lazy, yeah, the PS2 might not be for you. But even still, all the features you can get on this PS2, on a hacked PS2, is still really cool, and I give it an A tier. Next up is the PS3, and since I have a hacked PS3 myself, I am gonna be the most biased piece of shit ever. I love the PS3, but I love a hacked PS3 even more. The amount of stuff and freedom you have in a hacked PS3 is really, really cool. You can even change your fan speeds if you want, if that's what you're really into. There's really a lot of customization that you can do, and there's a lot of homebrew that you can use to your availability as well. And also, a hacked PS3 is a good emulation tool. You can literally play pretty much any PS2 game you want with having, just a slim model. Not only with a hacked PS3, you can do pretty much the obvious. There's still really just a lot of other stuff you can do. And also, it's really just not that hard to hack a PS3. All you really do need is just a USB thumbstick. And, the basic knowledge of, using a computer. So with that, I give the PS3 an S tier. Now, for our most modern console on this list, and the last console I'm going to cover in this video, since this is going to be multiple parts, we have the Nintendo Switch. The console that still has its release date games still at $60. The Nintendo Switch is a pretty good console to hack because, again, it's still really modern. But it gets kind of complicated when it comes to, which models can be hacked and such. Because obviously, since Nintendo Switches are still being made, of course the newer models you can't hack, so you only can have the release day models if you want to mod this console. So yeah, if you have the 2nd generation Switches or even a Switch Lite, unless you put a mod chip in it, you can't hack it, alright? You can't hack it. But the whole, modding and everything is pretty easy. The only thing you really do need is a jig. And I've heard so many stories online where people used like tinfoil or whatever, and like now like their right Joy-Con cannot be like recognized. So please, if you are gonna hack your Switch, use an actual jig and not some tinfoil, please. But the stuff you can do on a hack Switch is really, really cool. Since it is the most modern console pretty much on this list, there's a lot of homebrew for it, and I mean a lot. There's also a lot of emulation you can do where you can play PS2 games or even run Dolphin emulator on the Switch and also be able to run Linux. So besides the obvious, the amount of stuff you can do on a hack Switch is really, really cool, and if you have a first generation model, I highly recommend you to hack it because it's going to be really worth it in the end. So obviously, Switch gets an S tier. So that's gonna be it for this video. I'm gonna split it into parts because this video or project has been in the works for like a month or two, and by the been in the works I mean I haven't been touching this like project in like forever. Like it's been just rotting in my files for like God knows how long. So because I want to save space on my like computer or whatever, it's gonna be split into parts rather than be one whole big video. So you better like and subscribe, please.